but the things that I was telling you about what to notice and how the letters are written, how they're typed, how they have angles here and curves there, this does it. And so I have to say that I was really proud of myself for pointing out these things to you when, I've not done this, I've not taught this before, but those are the kinds of things you have to be on the lookout for.
Could you send it again, Rachel?
I will send it to everyone after
Thank you.
class. I'll send it right after class, not even with the homework, just its own document.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's terrific. Okay, so what we're going to start with today is kind of the homework I gave you, which is I want us to read the Shalom Aleichem prayer, just reading it. We're not going to sing. We're just going to read. And the idea was the fluency, your head knows this, your mouth knows this. Now you have to get your eyes to match your head and your mouth. So it all comes together smoothly, okay? So you can pull up the prayer wherever you want to see it. I mean, I'm looking at it on page 30 of the book. It's in this square on page 30. But, it appears elsewhere. But so give me a thumbs up when you all have it in front of you. Page 1, yes, it's on page 1 as well. Okay. All right, I'm waiting for everyone to say they have it, so I'm not going to start until you're ready. Okay.
So when we get done, I just had questions on another page that I had difficulty with on like page 35. Okay.
Hold on one second. Where's my book? Okay.
Like on line 6. Yeah, later, whenever you want.
Can we do this first and then we'll go to that?
Yes, yeah. That's what I said later.
Okay, good. All right. I think everyone must have it by now. Let's start. Linda, would you read the first line?
Sure. Shalom Aleichem Malachei Hasharet Malachei Elyon.
Beautiful. Okay, line 2. Anita, are you comfortable reading line 2?
Yeah, I can do it. Mi Melach Malachei Hablachim Akadosh Baruch Hu.
You guys are doing spectacularly. Fran, are you comfortable reading line 3?
Oachem la shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon.
I tell you, we're just killing it. Rhoda, are you good with, let's do line 4. I know it's a repeat, but doesn't matter.
Muted.
Oh, yeah, we can't hear you, Rhoda. Rhoda, you have to unmute. There you are.
At least you didn't hear my mistakes.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, so mi melech,
Yes.
malachei, hamalachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
Perfect. Excellent. Edith, can you do line 5?
Barakuni la shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon.
Nice. Really good. Okay. We're going to skip lines. Well, no, we're not. Laura, will you do line 6?
Sure. Mimelech malachei hamlakim hakadosh baruch hu.
Good. Nice. Elisa, will you do line 7?
Say. Say. This is the word I had trouble with. Say tchem.
Yep. Seitchem.
Seitchem. La shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon.
Nice.
And I know it, but I'm really trying to read it. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do. Beryl, will you read line 8?
Mi melech
Malachi Hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Very good. You guys did beautifully, really beautifully. Any questions on this prayer? Okay. And the system works, right? You started out, you were singing it. You sang it so frequently before you practiced all the time. Then now, as I say, you know these words so well. And it's kind of like, I think, readers who might have dyslexia. If they hear it, they fix themselves. Their eyes are fooling them. Their brain is a little, yes, Elisa.
On that word that I struggle with a little bit, seitchem. Okay, so where the ch is, in a lot of the words that end in chem or che, do they use the same letter here or do they use the k h? Do you know what I mean? Is the ch and the kh kind of interchangeable, or is it always chem with this letter?
I'm not exactly sure. So let me rephrase. So this combination of letters, you have the tzadi, the aleph, the taf, the chet. I'm sorry, the
Het.
chaf.
Right.
The
Chaf.
chaf.
I don't know the names of the letters.
Right, exactly. So this is a chaf and a mem sofit. So you're asking about the chaf.
About the chaf
Right.
and the, I'm looking at my chart.
The het.
The chet, is that it? The chet.
No,
I guess what I'm asking is when they spell it, chem or che or anything like that, is it usually the one that's the ch, or is it sometimes the one that's the kh? So what, that when we start recognizing words, should we always be looking for the chet, I guess? That probably doesn't, I don't know how to ask that question.
yeah, and I'm so
Okay,
so there's
I'll-
another letter. So
the kaf, I think, sounds a
right,
little
so-
bit
so-
like
right.
it.
So this letter, the fourth letter in Seitchem is a chaf. Okay, it looks, you know, it's a rounded C-like letter, exactly. This one does not have a dot in it. This has a companion letter that if it has the dot in it, sounds more like a k sound than a ch sound. Okay.
Then there's a kaf, the one that's the kh.
Right,
That's what I
so-
was wondering. Is
Okay,
that almost interchangeable with the kh?
Okay, so that's, I'm getting to that. So the other letter, kuf, is more of a K sound, not a KH sound. And that's where I think maybe your confusion is arising from. That other letter, which I'm going to hold it up. It's this one down in this corner. It doesn't look anything like a chaf. It has a long line. It has this other part to it, and it's a K sound. Oh, so on the guide that I sent you, the Aleph Bet, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fifth one from the bottom. It's a, I call it a kuf. They call it a kaf, but it's
Then this one here, can you see this?
that's a chaf sofit.
I think,
Oh,
That
That's what
only
I was-
appears at the
okay.
end of the line.
that's what
Right.
messed me up. Okay.
Rachel, I think
Is it
the other
Sophie?
thing that's confusing is when we first learned the letter at the very beginning on page 5, it has a CH or in parentheses KH sound.
Right. So,
And
but
that
that's
may have been what's confusing.
probably so.
Elizabeth.
So, but I think, and so the way they're writing that, the CH or the KH, it's still the same. It's a pronunciation that depending on how good you are at this guttural sound, it's still trying to tell us the exact same sound. So Edith says it a little more KH than I say it CH, but we're still saying the same thing.
Right.
Okay. Okay, because I don't think we've learned the kuf yet, which is the hard K sound.
No.
I don't think it's come up for us yet, and it's going to come up in just a few pages, I believe. Okay. Okay, excellent question. And don't stop asking them because the letters are confusing. And I know, for instance, the way I type them on my homework sheet, it doesn't look exactly the same because my Mac Hebrew alphabet, this is how it shows. And it's a little softer. It's not quite as formal as what you're holding up.
Is this the one that you're going to be sending out, or is it similar? Can you see it?
Yes, it's essentially that. It's very
Okay.
similar. It's not identical, but it's very, very similar. Exactly.
Then I'll
That's
use
the
this
one.
one.
Yeah, that
Or
one's
the one-
really excellent. Yeah. Okay. So, Fran, I want to go to your question. You said 35?
Yeah, I have everything with the vav, but if you look at the first word on line 7,
On
Can
page
you-
35?
yes,
Okay.
can you say it?
Mitzavcha.
Mitzavacha. Okay,
So
mitzavacha.
it's several syllables here. You have the mem
Yeah.
with the 2 dots under it, so it's m. Then you have the tsadi with the a, sa. Then you have the vav with 2 dots, so v. And then you have the chaf sofi with the a, so mitzavacha. It's actually, each letter gets its own sound, okay?
That's what
Yes,
Mitzvah.
okay. Okay, so we ended at the bottom of 35, didn't we?
No,
Last
we didn't.
time?
We
never
didn't do
did the
34.
Oh, we ended with 34. We didn't actually do 35.
I
Okay,
thought we
excellent.
did.
Okay, so it gets tricky now. This vav gets very tricky, especially because, so here's where we'll start. I want us to, so we're moving into learning to read brachot, blessings. They start with what should be very familiar to all of us, which is the blessing to light Shabbos candles. Then I believe we're going to move to the blessing over the wine. And just, yes, that's correct. Borei Pri Hagafen. And then I'm trying to see.
I think like when we come up to the Torah. I don't-
Right, exactly. Then exactly. So they're building on these brachot and they get a little longer and a lot more words in them. The first ones you're going to know by heart. And I want you to start recognizing the phrases, these obvious phrases. So Baruch atah Adonai, that's one quick phrase, right? And the hey with the yud or that little apostrophe is the abbreviation for Adonai. It's never going to be written out. It's always going to be abbreviated. Eloheinu melech haolam, again, a quick 3 words, easy to recognize. Now, there are different categories of brachot, of blessings. This one for lighting the Shabbos candles has the phrase Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. That phrase is important. That phrase will always come again as a unique phrase, and it's because this bracha is fulfilling a commandment, and that's what that phrase is about. Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, that you commanded us to do. Okay, unlike the blessing for the wine doesn't have that phrase, because the blessing for the wine, Borei Pri Hagafen, is a blessing of enjoyment. So we're not saying that you commanded me to do, we're just saying before I have this thing that I enjoy. Okay, so 2 different categories, one a little longer because it's saying that you commanded me to do, the other shorter, jumping right into the thing that is enjoyable, Borei Pri Hagafen, drinking of the wine. Okay, so just in the back of your mind, you'll know that. So let's direct our attention to the blessing for the Shabbat candles. Correct me, so hold up your hand if you don't know this blessing by heart. If you don't know it, okay, you don't. Okay, so then you're going to need to practice. And you know what? I can send you a link. I will write myself a note. I need something to write with.
What page are you on?
I'm on 34.
Okay.
So on the top of 34 in the box under the words Unit 5 is the blessing for Shabbat candles. I'm going to read, you guys just follow with me. You should recognize a lot of the words. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu, b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Okay, you do know it. I thought you'd know it. Okay.
I was on page 36. I thought you said
Okay.
before it. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so I thought, okay, Anita, are you familiar with this too?
Somewhat.
Okay, all right, I will send you a link and trust me, you'll get familiar really fast. Some people, they sing it. I'll try to find a link that I think is most common to what we should be used to, okay? The target words here, as you see under the box, Baruch Melech, the Hadlik, Eloheinu, and Asher. Those are the target words for this unit because they're going to appear in some of the different blessings. But what I want to focus on right now, and I have to be honest with you, this is confusing, and one of these words you're just going to have to learn the way it is. It breaks every rule that I've already told you, and it's the only word that does it. And the word, we haven't gotten to it yet, but we're going to get to it. So at the end of the homework page, I was explaining to you about the letter Vav being tricky, right? We've learned the letter Vav. That's the one that stands up like this little line, right?
Mhm.
It has a dot on the top sometimes. It has a dot in the middle. It acts as a vowel. However, on its own, it is a consonant. And as a consonant, it sounds like the letter V. And what I've taught you up until now is it's one of those three things. It's either the O, or it's the U, or it's the V. With the exception of one word, which we're going to get to in a few minutes. Okay, I'm not going to introduce it just yet. But there is this one word where that Vav is not only a consonant and it's also a vowel in one word. And it appears only once. In other words, the letter Vav appears once, but it's pronounced twice. It's pronounced as its own V, and it's pronounced as the vowel following it. And as I say, the good news is you're just going to memorize that word. You're going to see it. You're going to know how to pronounce it. It appears in blessings, and it's kind of like, I can't think of an English word that's like it. I honestly can't.
Rachel, the word, the mitzvah tov.
That's the
When you
word.
look at- Okay, so that was, I'm sorry. All right, that was
All right.
my,
So
okay. Sorry.
you're the wise student today, but hold off a minute, okay? Let's so now that I've given you the introduction of the crazy thing that's coming up, let's do page 35, okay? And on page 35, our target word is B'tzivanu. Now this one, you see it there in the center with the two arrows looking at it, right? Pointing to it. So you've got the Vav, the first letter with the two dots under it, the Shva, acting like a V, right? Then you've got the Tzadi with the E under it, the one dot. Then you've got the Vav again with the A under it, V'tziva. And you have a Nun and the Vav with the dot in the middle telling us that's a U sound. So V'tzivanu. So this demonstrates that the Vav is acting like a consonant with a Shva under it, a consonant with the silent vowel under it, a consonant with the little T, the A vowel under it, and then it's acting like a vowel, U, with a dot in the middle, right? V'tzivanu. Okay, so no place else on this page, let's see. So, all right, so let's read a little bit. Let's do a little practice reading, but none of these should be tricky. I just want you to know that. They're all straightforward. Let's read line 6. Line 6, I'm going to read the word, then you guys repeat. Is that all right? Okay. V'ad,
V'ad,
Olam,
Olam,
olam, li'olam,
L'olam,
Olam,
va'ed,
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 v'otanu.
Vitotanu.
Viotanu.
Tanu.
Okay, you see that? So this one's got the first vav with the silent vowel under it. Then it's got the aleph with the vav and the dot on top. So that's the O. Then it has the taf with the ah. Then it has the nun with the vav with the dot in the middle for new. So viotanu.
What was the first word again in that line?
On this line 6,
Yeah.
viad.
The odd. Okay.
Viad. So you have the vav with the silent vowel under it. V. Then you have an ayin, which is a silent letter with an ah under it, and it's ending with the dalid. So viad. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, line 7. This kind of gets to the question that Elisa was asking, I think. So this word mitzavcha. Okay. So you have the mem with the shva, the 2 dots, which is silent, but it's going to sound like that little short m. Then you have the tzadi with the under it, mitzah. Then you have the vav with 2 dots again, so it's a v, another v. And then you have the final chaf. So that's that final letter, the ch or kh, however, with the a. So mitzavcha. Okay. So that final letter, I think, is maybe what was confusing you. And because it's a final letter, it looks that way only at the end of the line. Sounds the same as we had before. And we'll learn another letter coming up that is the kaf that we haven't learned yet. All right. So anyway, I'm going to read line 7. You guys repeat. Mitzavcha. Hayom.
Hayom.
Mitzvah.
Mitzvah.
All right. Now this one they're giving us a signal here. Mitzvot. Mitzvot. So I'm going to break this word down for you. And this is here just for pronunciation purposes. This word is misspelled. I mean, this is a bunch of letters that sound like a word, but it's misspelling the word to teach us something. So you have the mem with the dot, so me. Then you have the tzadi with the 2 dots silent, mitza. And then you have a vav all by itself, okay, the 3rd letter. Then you have a vav with the dot on top to represent the vowel, the O, and then it ends with the taf. So if you think of this word as 2 syllables, the 2 first letters, mitza, and then the second 3 letters, vot, right? The V, the vav for V. So they're teaching you here what I explained at the beginning, which is the vav can be a V, it can be an O or an U, right?
So will the vav ever be used with another U or O after it, like it's spelled in this word?
No, it won't be, because this is a bunch of letters. This is not a word spelled correctly. Okay, this is a bunch of letters teaching us you need to pronounce the V plus the O as you go through this word. The way this word would be spelled correctly, if you delete the 3rd letter, the first vav, and just have 4 letters in this word, that's the correct spelling of the word mitzvot. But there, the vav is doing 2 things. It's acting as a consonant and a vowel in one printed space. So they didn't want to do that to you first, because you'd tell me that's wrong. What you taught me 5 minutes ago says I shouldn't do that. This is the word where it's just that. I don't know who thought of it. I don't know how come it breaks all the rules, but it does. Okay. So that's where I was leading to. And now it's going to come up more. Okay. As we move through these pages. And we're just going to have to remember it. Okay. And if you can think of an English analogy, let me know, but I have yet to think of one. And it doesn't really matter, obviously. It just doesn't matter. But so let's look at line 8. Okay, I'm going to read line 8 and I want you to repeat. Tziva, tzivanu,
Vanu.
V'tzivanu.
V'tzivanu.
Okay, that's our target word. And then it repeats, v'tzivanu.
Vanu.
Okay,
No. No.
v'tzivanu.
Vanu.
Exactly. So this doesn't break any rules, okay? This is following all the normal rules, right? So let's do.
Oh, there's an exclamation point after the third word.
Yes.
Right, exactly,
Yes.
because you hit the target word. So that's an exclamation point. And then it repeats without the exclamation point, okay? That's the word. Okay, but let's go down to line 10. I'm going to read line 10, and I want you to repeat. Mitzvah.
Mitzvah.
It's the same one, but they're breaking it apart, giving us a little space. Mitzvah.
Mitzvah.
Okay, now the third combination here is pointing out the third and the fourth. So they break it apart for us to show us the syllables. Mitz and then vote. Got the double vav. One has a dot, one doesn't, right? So you see it, and they broke it for us. And now the last one, mitzvot. They put a bet in the front.
Mitzvot.
Okay. Yes.
I have a problem with the two dots, one under the other. Are you, I think you're supposed to say a, like ah, but
No,
it's not pronounced though.
No, it's UH. It's It's
The-
this
oh, the
little
but-
short
But sometimes it's pronounced and sometimes it isn't pronounced.
And that's the craziness of the Shabbat. But this, for the most part, you should pronounce it as the short sound. The blessings and the prayers we're learning, it is pretty much pronounced when you see it. In this book, if it's there, pronounce it as a short And when it's not there, they don't want you to pronounce, they want you just to give the consonant its sound.
Okay.
So by it being there, it's adding this short So the last word here, b'mitzvot, b'mitzvot. And it becomes really short when you say the word in its entirety, right? So if I b'mitzvot or b'mitzvot, right?
Which kind of drops it. When you say it
Well,
quickly, you drop it.
It doesn't, I think it kind of merges it, but I get it. And it kind of,
Winston, are you okay? Come on.
all right, Rita, I'm not sure what you're asking me for.
She's muted.
You're muted, Rita, I can't hear you.
I got it. I've been having a lot of phone calls coming in for some reason today. Elisa said something earlier when you asked if everybody knew a particular prayer. And I think you said you were going to send a link.
I will at the end of class.
all right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Rhoda, you make a very good point that it does sound like it's dropping, but when you go to sing it, it becomes more prominent than when you just read it. So because it drags it out, obviously. So, and I noticed that when I was first preparing for class with Shalom Aleichem. When you sing it, certain syllables get more emphasis, you drag it, so you hear it more predominantly, as opposed to when I read the word quicker and it kind of gets swallowed.
Okay.
But for purposes of learning to read it, I think you should pronounce it as this short sound. Okay, that's what the notes to the teacher tell me to tell you.
Okay.
And I think it makes sense.
Okay.
And as your familiarity gains and you read the words more quickly, you'll still be sounding them correctly, even though you're sounding them faster.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So here at the top of page 36 is what we were just talking about. The word on the right-hand side of the top of the page next to the two arrows, mitzvot. That's how you will see that word in print. They're showing you that it's, for pronunciation purposes of learning it is what they've been doing to us, which is showing those two separate vavs. The first one, which gives you the V concept, followed by the second one with the dot over it, which gives you the O concept to make it mitzvot. And this, the teacher's handbook calls this the telescoping vav. I never would have thought of that phrase, but so it stands as its vav and telescopes up with a dot over its head to tell you to do the V plus the O, I think is what the instructions are suggesting here. But it makes it very clear. This is the only word that happens. So this root word, mitzvot, and it could become b'mitzvotav, it could, which is the word we're going to come to in the prayer, but the root of the word is mitzvot. And when we see that root, you just need to remember you pronounce the V with the O. And when we start adding on to it, as they say, b'mitzvotav, if there's some other versions, you'll just keep recognizing it and it will become an automatic, I hope, for you, especially the more we practice it.
What does bar mitzvah tov mean?
Bar mitzvah tov?
What does it mean?
That's a fine question. Do I know what it means? Well,
I know
mitzvah
what it means.
is a mitzvah is
A mitzvah, I
commandments.
know what it
So
is. Right.
telling, so b'mitzvotav, so it's your commandments in the plural. I'm not sure what the b does for this word off the top of my head. I apologize. Okay. But so on page 36, if we look at the lines numbered 1 through 5, so on the right-hand side, they're showing you the correct spelling. On the left-hand side, they're typing them to give you a more easily understood pronunciation. You seeing that? So the first line, mitzvo. It's not a word, it's just a combination of letters, mitzvo. And they show you on the left-hand side of the equal how I got that pronunciation. So line 2, mitzvot. So that is a real word. And they're showing us on the left-hand side of the equal that extra vav for the easier pronunciation. Okay, on line 3, b'mitzvot. Line 4, so what has this got to do? Oh, I see. Torah u'mitzvot. Okay. Your Torah and your commandments, Torah u'mitzvot. And then line 5, mitzvot Adonai. So God's commandments. Mitzvah being a commandment, mitzvot being multiple commandments. And then they have the new target word in the middle of the page, b'mitzvotav. So in this case, becomes plural and possessive, which are way too many grammatical rules that I don't think we should go into, because that's not what this class is about, okay? So I'm looking down here. Okay, so have I confused you entirely?
No,
Not
but
yet.
Rachel, can you just pronounce the mitzvotov? Is that the way it's, you know why? I learned the candle blessing,
Yeah,
my bubby's feet.
right.
You know, I was probably just barely speaking. And so that's the only word I still get confused and speak Ashkenazic. So if you could just say it's, I don't know.
That's okay. So,
in the new pronunciation.
so can we all go back a minute? Let's go back a page. and look at the prayer, the blessing on the candles on the top of page 34 in the box, okay? Because I think if you hear it in the right order, it might help you more. And you tell me if I'm wrong, but so I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
And you all should, so you know what, can we read the first line together?
Yes.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Baruch
Baruch
atah
Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Olam.
Okay, very good. Okay, stop right there. Okay, so we all did that perfectly, right? The second, I'm going to do the next phrase. I'm going to break it up. So the first 3 words, Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotav. Okay, Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotav. Okay, so Beryl, that's the word you're struggling with?
Yes.
B'mitzvotav.
I have to consciously, like, almost look at it rather than, I mean, it just rolls off. I've been,
Your head takes over because it knows what it always hears.
How do you
I've been
pronounce it in
lighting candles.
Ashkenazi? What's the
Forever.
difference? How do you pronounce it in Ashkenazi?
Beryl, so what do you hear in your head?
Now you have me consciously trying the mitzvah.
Oh, well, so she's mispronouncing the word, I think. So I think she's kind of, or maybe your young head just didn't finish the word. Okay. So, because frankly, what I would have thought you were going to say is that tough sounds more like a saf, an S, but misvo sav. Because I was right, exactly. Ashkenazi at my show, that would have been an SV sound at the end, sav, as opposed to tav. Okay.
But now I'm really trying to consciously say it correct. So now
Good.
maybe I've reprogrammed my brain.
Yes. So what I was going to suggest to you is maybe draw some diagonal lines between the syllables. I don't know if that'll help you or not, but I would put a line after the bet, b, meets. So after the first letter, then after the third letter, the tzadi, b meets. And then you have the vav by itself, vo, and then tav. So you have 4 syllables. The b meets vo tav. Okay. Now, and the yud here between the taf and the final vav, that yud is silent. It's not taiv. It doesn't sound like a Y. It's there to represent making this word plural. So that's a different rule, a grammar rule that we're not going to get into. But for purposes of reading, it doesn't serve a pronunciation purpose, right? It serves a grammatical purpose. All right, so but we'll go back. So now, so the first 3 words are the phrase Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotav. Can you guys do that? Good, nice, okay. And now I'm going to do these one word at a time. V'tzivanu lihadlik ner shel Shabbat. Okay, so basically, right, I don't think we've learned these last 4 words, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And there, so 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th word, lahadlik, that final letter is that K sound that I was referring to before. So we haven't learned it yet.
No, we did. We learned K.
We did.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah.
But in this case, this letter doesn't have a final form. This letter looks the same whether it's in the middle of the word, the beginning of the word, the end of the word, and it always sounds like a K, just a plain old K. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we've dealt with b'mitzvotav. Yes,
Before you
Rhoda.
change the page, if you
Yes.
go below the box, and you
Yep.
look at Eloheinu, how come it hasn't got the vowels underneath? Is that just a misprint?
But, I'm sorry, are you on page 34?
Page 34, underneath the box, underneath the prayer.
Underneath,
And
so
then they have the two arrows pointing to Baruch.
Yes. Can we do
Melech.
that
Can you
line?
see Eloheinu?
there is no, oh, Eloheinu, yes, here's the word Eloheinu,
But
yes.
there's no vowels under it.
Yeah, I don't know why they did it this way in this case. I don't know if it's a misprint. Honestly, I'm not sure. I think they're just telling the teacher here or telling, these are words coming up in this unit. But basically we haven't, yeah, I don't know. They've never done it for us this way before. So I looked at that too, wondering, I can read that. It's got no vowels, but I know what it is. But
What's
I'm
the
not
word
sure.
after? What's the word after it?
Asher.
Hasher, okay.
Asher. So honestly, to me, it seems like it's a bad printing. It's a misprint
That's what I thought.
because
I
they've
wasn't
not done it
100%
anywhere
sure.
else. Yeah, I don't,
And the box on page 36, Eloheinu, is with all the vowels.
right, now it has vowel, exactly, right. So why they did it there, more trouble than it's worth. I think they're just confusing you, but I don't know the answer.
May have been a typo.
It might, or a right, a printing error that someone didn't catch when they were proofing this edition. Sorry.
That's okay. I was just wondering.
Yeah, no, but that's exactly the problem. Okay. So 36, we did b'mitzvotav in the middle of the page, right? And that's why we went back to the whole prayer, so you would hear it in its context. Now, under that word b'mitzvotav in the middle of the page, so let's look at line 6. And, so here again, they're giving you, this is where they demonstrate that yud that is there for grammatical purposes, but not pronunciation purposes. So
Which line and page? I'm sorry.
line 6, page 36.
36, that's it, okay.
Okay, so line 6, they're doing again, they have a combination of letters. No, I'm sorry, they have the word spelled correctly on the right-hand side. They have the letters.
Oh, it's
No,
not-
the other way around. Right.
It's not anything. It's not the word at all.
So, yeah, so,
Line 6 isn't the
no,
word.
That's the way
they do it, they
started out.
revert, they do it one way on one line and one way and the other way on the other line, which is really stupid in my opinion. I apologize, but it's so line 6, bimromav is the pronunciation of that word. Bimromav. And it is
Wait. Line 6, what was the first word?
line 6, the word is bimromav. Okay, now it's spelled correctly on the right-hand side of the equals. Okay, on the left-hand side, they do away with that yud.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you get to the words farther to the left, shalom bimromav, which is the end, it's a phrase that's going to appear in prayers. It has the yud because the yud is
That's the way
significant.
you would, that's the way it would look if you were. If it was in
When you're
a-
going to see it in the prayer book,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
because the word is plural and it needs that yud for it to be plural in that
Right.
context,
Oh,
okay? But the pronunciation is bimromav.
All right.
Now on line 7, this word is what we've been practicing, b'mitzvotav, okay? And it has that double anomaly. It has the vav telescoping to be a V and an O. And then it has the yud, which we don't pronounce to make it plural. And so it becomes b'mitzvotav. And we've practiced it a lot. And Beryl now is going to hear it in her head when she has to say it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then line 8 is the phrase Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. Okay.
Okay.
That is what we've been going over. And that looks good. Yes.
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 Okay, and then in the large type below line 8 and above the box is the latter part of the very last phrase of the prayer, Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Right? So to light the candles of Shabbat is the
Like,
translation.
Lahalik,
Lehadlik ner
Ner,
shel Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Okay, and I think, I mean, are any of these words new to us? Maybe Lehadlik? I mean, the pronunciation of ner, shel, and Shabbat aren't so new, right?
Lahalik, I don't know.
Lehadlik, right, that's the new. Okay, Lehadlik. So, and maybe the whole point here is just the K at the end of the word. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure why this is, feeling different. But now in the box, there is the prayer again for lighting the candles. What I like about this is they divide it into these 3 distinct lines or phrases, which you should, so certainly what's on line 1, you're going to want to get to know by sight. You're going to want this phrase, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, to recognize it instantaneously when you see it in print, in any prayer, in any book, okay? And then the second line also, Asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, that's another one. It's just going to be a sight line. You're going to recognize it. Now, not every blessing is going to have that line, as I described before, because not every blessing is a commandment blessing. Some of them are just enjoyment blessings, so you will not have the second line. And then the third line here is specific to the act we're doing, the commandment we're fulfilling, which is Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat, lighting of the Shabbat candles. Okay? Shel Shabbat. Okay. Now, I did not start by us singing this. And again, that was purposeful on my part because I want you to learn to sight read it. It's up to you. As I say, I will send the YouTube that I mentioned before, Rita, which is someone singing the Shabbat candle lighting blessing. But to be honest with you, once you're familiar with that and once you know it, I want you to learn to just sight read this. Because these phrases, particularly line 1 and line 2, that's how you're going to spot them in the prayer book. You're going to instantly know you know this, and you're going to be able to read it wherever it appears. And it appears too many times to count, in at least the prayer book we use, the Sim Shalom prayer book that my show uses. But, whether it's a Haggadah or whether it's the Machzor, it doesn't matter. You're going to see it and you go, I absolutely know that. I don't have to sound it out. I know it. Okay. All right. So let's see, where does that take us? Oh, all right. So questions? Okay. Let's go to page 37. So this is the word Geffen, not David Geffen, but sounds just like his name, Geffen. But the reason we need this is because it's the introductory part of the Kiddush blessing, Borei Pri HaGeffen, right? Or Gaffen, it's really a Borei Pri HaGaffen, but here we're learning it as Geffen. And they tell us, so have we learned? I don't think we've learned the Gimel.
No,
yet.
the Gimel is a new letter.
Right, so this is the new letter Gimel. Always sounds like a hard G, as in garden. So I'm going to look at this lovely page that you shared with me, what to notice about the letter Gimel. Okay, so
looks like a shoe. The bottom looks like a shoe.
All right,
I know, I'm looking at it and I say, gee, I like your shoe.
Okay, so maybe it's a high heel shoe for you guys.
I like that.
So what I want to point out is the similarity of this letter to a nun. So nun we know is the N sound. Let me see where the heck we have a nun to compare to. The difference with the nun, so the nun comes down straight and goes straight across in a block. In this gimel, we have that high heel kind of on the back right corner, right? Is the high heel that goes to the rest of the foot.
Bottom of page 31 has a nun.
Okay, thank you. So if you guys want to flip back to page 31, of course, I cannot seem to find page 31.
It's right opposite the Shalom Aleichem.
Okay. But so the important thing, is not to confuse the nun and the gimel. The top of the letters are identical. They have the curved top right corner. Then they come down, and the gimel, this new one, it slopes off to the right, and then it has the cutout before the rest of the foot goes off to the left. That's the gimel. Always sounds like G as in garden, or, oh, so this tells you that there's a gap under there. And that G for gap is supposed to remind you the gap between the heel and the rest of the foot, that G, that's this gimel. Okay?
Okay.
It's an easy sound. The letter looks the same no matter where it's placed. And unlike in English, it's not going to be at the end of the word for like an action, hiking and biking and cooking. So a gimel usually is at the beginning or in the middle of the word, doesn't have an ending letter or change. Okay, so.
If you look on line 5, you have a nun and a gimel.
Yep, side by side.
There you do, the first word. Very good catching that. Nagila, actually, Nagila. The nun next to the gimel. And so there you have the gap to remind you that that's a G sound. Okay, so thank you. That was, Fran, you spotted it for us, and everyone can maybe circle that, and you've got the nun and the gimel together. Very nice. All right, I'm looking. Let's do line 4.
Joe?
On page 37. I'm gonna read, you guys repeat. Gil,
Gil,
Gila,
Gila,
Ger,
here,
Gag,
Gog,
That's two gimels together, Gag,
Gog,
right? Okay, Gan.
Gon,
So you remember that second letter is the nun sofit, the final N. Okay, Gan. Okay, Gam.
Gom,
So that's a mem sofit, and that's actually, so these two are words. Gan is a garden. Gam is the word and, but those are just tidbits. Gavia is the final word. Gavia.
Say that again.
Actually, it's Gavia.
Gavia.
Gavia. I believe the yud there is going to sound like a Y. I don't think that's a real word, honestly.
Okay.
So, and then line 5, we just looked at Nagila. Nagila, right? Nagila. The next word is Goy. Goy.
Why goy?
Boy,
Gadol. Gadol.
Gadol,
Then the fourth is Gedula. Gedula.
what do those 3 slanty dots mean again?
Everyone, all right, let's all get together. Okay, so on the 4th word, the 3 dots going below the dalet is the U sound.
Ooh,
That's the same as the vav with the O and the dot in the middle. It's still the U sound. So that's the
Okay.
other way to write the U vowel. So gedula.
okay,
Okay.
Gadula,
Okay. So in Hebrew, most often you're going to put the emphasis on the second syllable, not the first. So not gedula, Gedula. Okay, Gedula. The next word is Yigdal. And that's a word. That's a word when we get to
It's a
the
prayer.
part of the right. Yigdal Elohim.
Yigdal.
Right, exactly that prayer. Okay, and this one also is a common Yit Gadal. The last word on line 5. Yit Gadal.
Can
Okay.
I ask a question?
Yes,
The,
Rhoda.
the third word,
Mm-hmm.
how did you pronounce that?
Gadol.
Oh, you did say Gadol. Okay.
Yeah, Gadol. That
I
means
heard Ula.
Gadol.
Okay.
large. Gadol, big.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, that's good. That's the way
Okay.
that's the way I heard.
Okay. Any other questions on line 5? Okay. So I think we got a lot done today. So I'm just going to read for you. I'm going to read line 7 and line 9 just to show you that the words we're learning are in prayers that you will recognize. Okay. So you don't repeat. Line 7, Latet Gedula Liyotzer Bereshit is a prayer that you may or may not recognize just by heart. And line 9, Yit Gadal B'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Again, something that should sound familiar. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to stop here. I am going to move my note that says we got here. You know, these were some very tricky things, quite honestly. And so I'm going to send you a YouTube of the blessed being sung for Shabbat candles.
And the alphabet.
And this alphabet page, I'm gonna do those 2 things right this afternoon. So I'm not gonna type up the homework or anything, but I will send these 2 things right away this afternoon, okay? In terms of practicing, my suggestion, and you guys tell me if you think I'm a lunatic, I would continue to practice reading the Shalom Aleichem. It doesn't take you very long just to keep reading it, so read it. Then I also want you to read and say aloud as you read, obviously, the prayer for the candles. That's really the homework. Just reading both of those as fluently as you can. You know, if you need to hear it sung to you first, that's fine. But your assignment is really to read it out loud smoothly as you can, so that
What
it
page
sounds.
is that again? It's for the candles.
Sure.
34, the top of
34, there it is. Thank you.
Should we also practice reading these non-words?
Sure.
Rachel, could you do line 8 on page 37? Could you read it?
Yes. Line 8 on page 37. Vahu Eli Goali V'im Gviyati. So again, this is a portion of a prayer. Vahu Eli Goali V'im Gviyati. So sure, maybe that goes right to the point, which is you should practice, and I need to look at these more carefully. But you know, practicing page 36, because they reprint the Vav twice, but I'll explain in the homework which is the correct spelling, okay? And maybe you'll circle the correct spelling. But it's really just familiarizing your eyes with the ease of saying the words. Really sight reading, I think, at this point. Okay.
Thank you, Rachel.
Now we don't have class. We don't have class in 2 weeks. It's Erev Pesach.
Oh, okay.
So when's the
Okay?
next, what's the date of the next?
The next class is March 2nd, I believe. I'm sorry,
April
April
2nd.
2nd.
Second.
Yes, April 2nd.
Okay.
Zis and Pesach, everybody.
Everybody.
Zisa Pesach.
Yes, Zisa Pesach.
I hope
That's
some
my
of you
mother,
will see
their mother
loved
would-
ones.